working with regular expression. So in the data types, we learned about regular expression type. A simple example we learned about how to deal with regular expressions. So technically, what are regular expressions? We discuss. So already we know about regular expressions. So in HTML, here we learned about how to use the regular expression type. So in non-primitive types, we have array type, we have a object type, and we have regular expression types. These are the important data types. After understanding these data types, so finally we learned about the primitive and non-primitive types. How to deal with primitive and non-primitive types. Technically, in the primitive types, we have number, we have string, boolean, null, and undefined. And non-primitive types, we are having array, object, regular expression. These are non-primitive types. Now, after understanding the primitive and non-primitive types, we are going to discuss about another important. We have to understand about how to deal with the date type. How do we work with the date type of values? Working with date type of values, right? So generally JavaScript dates, right? You have to know about the date type, because date type already we learned how to design how to store numbers, arrays and all. But in real world development, majority of times you have to work with dates. So how do we handle the dates? How do we work with the date? Let's see one simple option about the date types. Technically, how to work with them. Generally, for example, suppose we are defining an object. So we will see date type. We are defining an object. Defining object like var product is equal to, it is an object. Object is defined in flower brace. Object have some properties. Now in the object properties, we are designing. So object properties we are designing. So like this. So in the object properties, we are adding name. It is a string type. String type means we have to put it in quotes. So quotes. So this indicates string. Suppose we have to store price. Price is a number type. So something like this. And this is number type. Suppose we have a stock. It is a boolean type. So this is a boolean type. Boolean type. Suppose we have MFD. So suppose manufactured date. Now here, how to store this? How to store date? I want to store date. So here, how to define date? That is important. Generally, if I have to define date, usually if you put quotations, that means suppose if you write MFD is in the quotations, so some 12/06/2020, that means now it is not date, it is a string type. It is a string type. It is not date type, it is string type. It is not the date type, it is the string type. So you cannot store like this. And if I try to store MFD, manufactured, and like 12/06/2020, like this, if I try to store like this is not valid. If I type like this, it will not take the dates. So you cannot use slashes, you cannot use quotes, you cannot use so directly. Then how we can store the dates? So in order to store a date value in memory and use in your application. So in order to store a date value and use in your application, you have to define date type memory by using JavaScript date constructor. This is called constructor. By using JavaScript date constructor. JavaScript have a date constructor. Actually, by using JavaScript date constructor, we can allocate memory for date. That means you have to define like this. Suppose individually, where MFD manufactured is a date is equal to new date. That's how we have to define. That means now the memory is allocated for date type so that you can handle date values. You can handle the date values. Technically, date type memory need to be allocated in order to deal with the date values. That is basic important. So generally, how we do that? So and now important. So what happens is the default date constructor will load the current date into memory. The default date constructor will load the current date into memory, which you can access by using this MFD. If you want to store any new date, you can configure custom date into memory. You can configure custom date into memory by using. You can configure custom date into memory By using, you have to use by using a date value, by using a date value enclosed enclosed in closed in quotes, double quotes, date value enclosed in double quotes with the format year, month, day. So year, month, day. We have to enter the date in this format. In this format. That means where MFD, where MFD manufactured is equal to new date. New date here, year, you have to define year hyphen month hyphen day. Remember, format also important. It is mandatory that the format must be in year, month, day. If you define any another format, it will say invalid date. Invalid date. So whenever you want to deal with the date values, you need to follow this mechanism. You have to follow this approach. So technically, date values, you need to follow this, right? So this is very important for us. So how to configure dates? Because in web applications everywhere we have to work with dates. Then we should know how to handle the dates. Let's see. For example, I am creating a new script here. Simple date demo.html. So here we are defining. So a script, so function, and here function, we are calling the function. Here we are defining the date options. So for example, var, or simply one object we will create, product is equal to this. So name is a string. Here we will define as some name, and price is number. Okay. MFD manufactured is new date. You have to define in this way. Currently, what happens is in the new date empty, it will load current date. So if I print it, that means document.write. I am printing it. So name is equal to. So name is equal to dollar product.name. Okay. BR in the next line, I am printing price is equal to dollar product.price, and BR next line, manufactured is equal to dollar product.mfd, manufactured. And once run this and see, when you run this, you can see that so the date will be printed, and you can see the current date is printed. You can see the current date is printed. The current date is printed. The current date is printed. That's how we are configuring the dates. The current date value will be printed. So we have name, we have price, and we have manufactured. And we have the current date printed. How to print our own format we will discuss. Currently it is printing the current date. If you want any specific date, then you have to pass the date here. That means here we are passing the date. Suppose I am passing like some 13/6/2020. Then I will save this and refresh. It says invalid date. That means there is a format for date. Format is 2020/06 and 13. That is how we have to store. Then it will store it. Saturday, June 13. You can store any date you want. So, but the range of dates can be up to 1, 1, 9999 So we have a limit for that. And important is initially the format is also major. You have to write in the same format. Anything else it will not accept. Suppose I am adding manufactured as 2020 and 02 and 10, February 10, and it will say Monday, February 10. So we can define dates in this way. We can define dates in this way. So how to access and print it. So that is an example how we can define date. So new date. Into that we have to pass the dates. Now, how to read the dates, how to set the dates dynamically. That is also an important part. How we can read the dates, how we can print the dates, how we can set the dates dynamically. That's also important. That is also very much important. So let's see how we can manage that. Right. So that means what are the date functions available? That means what are the various date options available? How we can manage the dates and configure the dates. Important is to manipulate the dates. Some functions are provided. Let's see those functions actually. That means when we are defining date, you can define date string. You can write in several ways actually. What are the various methods of writing the date as I given you as a string? Or there is another method also. That means you can configure in this format as string. So or you can also configure the date value separated with the comma. We can also have the date separated with commas. We can configure the date separated with commas. That is the point. We can define the date separated with comma. How to do that? Let's see how we can handle the date separated with commas. That means actually syntactically how we can write is syntax simple. We have to define where. So manufactured and is equal to new date. You can use like this: year and month and day, then hours, then minutes, then seconds, and milliseconds. The values you can define like this: hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. The values you can define like that. That is one option how to define that. So, but first point is how we can get the dates, how we can access the dates, right? So let's see how we can get and access the dates. Actually, some functions are removed. We don't have them. So we don't need to use them. Some are available. We can use them. Let's see what are those. So that means date object related methods. What are the date object related methods? So date object methods, date object related methods. So what are the date object related methods? So date object methods to read date. What are the date object methods to read date? To read date, we have some methods. What are those? One is so method and description. So what are the methods we are having? We have methods. They are case sensitive. You have to write get hours. So it returns the hours number in 24 hour format. 24-hour format. Get minutes. So 24-hour format means, so that means it will be 0 to 23. And get minutes, it returns the minutes number, and get seconds, and it returns the seconds number. Remember, all date functions are actually returning number only, seconds number. Seconds number means, obviously, minutes number means how much? 0 to 59 it will return. Seconds number also 0 to 59. Seconds also 0 to 59. And important here, it will return get milliseconds. Milliseconds, it returns the seconds, and milliseconds will be 0 to 999. That is milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds equal to 1 second it will take actually. And we have get month. It returns month number, and very important, month number. So here 0 to 11 actually. That means 0 is equal to January, like that. Get month is a month function. It returns the month number, and it will be 0 to 11. Get the month number. Similarly, we have get day. Day means it returns the weekday number. This also will be 0 to 6. That means 0 is equal to Sunday. Then you have problem in presenting sometimes. That is the weekday number. So similarly, we have the options like get year. It returns year number as per Y2K. Now this option is obsolete. Obsolete means no longer in use. We are not using it because according to Y2K, after 99 it will be 100, not 2000. After 1999, that means it will take last 2 digits. After that it will change, 2000 will be 100, like that. That's the reason it is not valid, not used. It will work. So that means now here 2000 year means it will be 100, right? 2020 means it will be 120, like this. That is how dates will return, because actually 1999 that is 99. So that is taken as 2 digits. After that it will 99, it will change to 100. That is the reason this is not valid anymore. We don't use it. So better use get full year. That means it returns a full year number. That is better. We can use get year, full year number it will return. Yeah. Next important, we have other functions. What are important functions is we can use the string based functions also. They are nothing but to date string. We can use like this. Then what it will do is returns only date, only date. We have two local date string, local date string. So it returns date in short format. Short format means I will show you how it returns. You can use two local time string. Local spelling you have to write local, right? Time string. So similarly, it returns date time in short format. That's what actually local time string, local date string. And you can use even two string, two string. So converts date into string, converts date into string. That is two string. We have to use that two string. These are all the functions which you can use to read the dates. Read the dates. Important functions. So here one problem we will face is while reading month, while reading year, and all these details. Let's see that. Currently, suppose date when you look, it is printing like this. Now we can use our date functions. We can use our date functions. Suppose I will put a break. So here, manufactured, MFD, it is MFD. It is printing date like this, complete. Then what we can do is we can write here dot to date string. We can write to date string method. Then you can see it will display like this, only date. I return to local date string. I'm using another to local date string. Local date string will display like this in a short format. It will display in a short format. You can see 2/10/2020, the date you stored in the memory, right? So there are various methods. But one problem we will face here is when you are accessing weekday, when you are accessing month, then you will face the problem. Year, you will face the problem. Suppose I want to print all of them separately. Okay, so product dot get month. So here get month, it will return the month number. It will return the month number, manufactured month. That means you can see it will return the month number, manufactured month as 1 because 0 starts with January. It will not return month name, but actually we want month name. Similarly, so here manufactured month. So I will put in the next line weekday. I want to get the manufactured weekday also. Then see what I am doing here. Product dot mfd dot get day. Get day will return the weekday. Weekday it will return it will return that also number. That means Sunday starts with 0, Monday will be 1, like that. It will return the weekday of that particular date. But they are numbers, they are not satisfying in presentation. So if I want a date, date, that means in the next line. So manufactured date, uh, date, only date I want to print, on which date it is, not complete date number. Then product, we have to use product dot mfd dot get date. Get date will get the date number, that is okay, 10th, and year. And in the next line, manufactured year is year. I am writing product dot mfd dot get year. See, get year is available, but it is not recommended anymore. According to get year, it will return in Y2K form, 120 it will show. No, it should be get full year. That is the correct way. So you can see get full year will be 2020. So the problem is with month and weekdays. They are returning. Month and weekdays are returning. Month and weekdays are returning directly. They are returning the numbers, but I want to print their names. Then means month number, month name, weekday name. Then what we have to do is, we don't have any facility to print month number, month name. Then we have to try like this. First, what we have to do is, we have to create a collection. Months is a collection. This months collection is having months like January, like February. So like February, like March, like March, like this, March. So like April, like this. Like this, you have to write all of them, because you entered some date and that date is not available, then we will be in problem, right? That's the reason every date you have to enter. Okay, every month you have to enter. This is array, and in the array, January is 0, index number, February is 1, right? Then what we have to do is, so we need to configure. So January, February, all these options are defined in this way. Then what we have to do is, we need to configure the dates. How it actually prints, we will see that. So let's see, how do we print, right? How it can print the value. So we are using the date values now. The date values are nothing but, you can see, this is printing the months. This is printing the month number. What we will do is, we will pass this month number, manufactured get month, that returns month number. I will pass that month number into months array. Months is an array. Into months array, I will pass that month number. That means the month number is 1, and you are passing months of 1. Months of 1 means it will get that month and display. That means you can see here, it will print that month here. So February. That's good. That means it cannot print by itself. We have to configure it. We have to manually configure it. So better you have to take arrays and configure them by using the arrays. So similarly, remember, you have to maintain all January to December, because suppose I changed the date. I changed the date as a month is 6 and day is suppose 12, and you see it says undefined. Why it says undefined? Because it is showing undefined because here in array after April we haven't written. We have to say May, we have to say June, we have to June is satisfied, July, so like August, like this up to end we have to write. If it is available, then only it will print it June, right? Similarly, weekday also we need to create an array where weekdays is an array. Here it should start with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so Thursday, right, like this. Thursday, so Friday, I'm writing complete. Saturday, like this. Now, important is once you have an array, then what you can do is here in the manufactured, when where you are printing the weekday, this is the weekday. Get day will return the weekday number. This number we will pass into weekdays array. Into weekdays array, we will pass that number. We will pass that number. Then it returns the weekday as Friday. You can see it will return Friday. So that means by default, it is not having the ability to print individually like that. Collectively, when it is printing, it has short dates, long dates, formats are present, we can use them. But individually, when you are dealing with them, they will always return number. We have to maintain array. Based on that, we need to get the values and we need to present the values. So that is how we have to present the dates in a proper format. For that, we need to learn these techniques. So we created array of months and weekdays, and we are presenting them here. We are configuring and presenting them here. So that is how we need to define. We need to define. So how we can manage, right? So this is one simple example for dealing with the date, reading the dates actually. So here we are accessing the number of month. That month number is passed into months array. Then it will go into that number index because they also start with 0, and it will pick that month and display it. That is how it is properly displaying the contents. That is one option. Another important is how we can so set the dates. JavaScript date JavaScript date functions to set a new value. JavaScript date functions to set a new value. We have some functions to set a new value. What are the functions which are used to set a new value? That means dynamically how you can set the dates. How we can set the date? For that we have functions like set date. Actually, it sets the day of the month. It sets the day of the month. Right? It sets the day of the month. Similarly, we have set full year. That means it sets the year of date. Similarly, we have set hours. So it sets the hour of hour number. It sets the hour number of date. Similarly, we have set minutes. So it sets minutes, and we have set seconds. It sets seconds. Same, set seconds. And we have set milliseconds, and it sets milliseconds. Seconds. So we have set month, it will set month, it sets month of date, of date. We can set the values dynamically. So right, so we can set time, set time. So it is used to sets the time value. So these are all the set related options that we can use. We can use, right? By using this, we can set a new date. You can set a new date dynamically. That situation also comes in different occasions, how to deal with that. Actually, how we can set the date number. We can define the date number. So for example, actually what we are doing is here. Let's keep one example. So set date. Okay. And .html. Later, how to create date pickers, we will discuss in jQuery. Right? Initially, simple. We are learning the syntax, how to deal with that. Okay. And here we are adding the option where, so some now is equal to new date. Okay. And it is going to print. I will print here document dot write now dot to date string. That means it will print the current date. That means you can see, so it is printing the current date. So I will keep here date is equal to, and it should print the current date. Okay, fine. Now I will run this. You can see it is printing the current date. So Friday, June. I want to change. I want to change this date 12 to 13 or 12 to 14 like that. Then what we have to do is we have to write here. We have to write. So now means the date is in the memory. Dot set date. Set date. Set date. We have to put the date number as 13. If I set the date number as 13, you can see it changed to Saturday, June 13. So that means entire date will be changed because you changed the date dynamically now. You changed the date. Remember, these numbers we can get from controls. Controls. That means we will give a drop down. From the drop down, we will ask them to select a month. They will select the month. We will send that value. Such examples we will see. But you need to understand how do we set the date. Suppose I want to set a year, then what we have to do is we need to say now dot set full year, and here year number 2021. That is the year number. That means the year also changed. When year changed, weekday will be changing, and the date will be same. On the date which weekday is there, it will come. It will come. Remember, if you are trying to change the weekday and which belongs to that particular date, that cannot happen because weekday should match with the date. If you put the date, weekday will change. It will change. That's the reason we don't have any value to set weekday. Weekday will be set according to the date. So weekday, we don't have anything. We have month, we can set month. Suppose I want to set July month, then we can say now dot set month. We can use now dot set month. So, and I will put the month number. And here month number starts with, so I will put 7. 7 will be July. So here 7 will be August. Why? Because it starts with 0. Because it is starting with 0. Already we learned 0 to 11. 7 means it is August. Because 0 is January. If I say 0, then it will be actually January. And if I say 7, that means it will be on August, like this. So you can set the values dynamically. You can set the values. You can completely set the date. Just you have to define the option as a set. So you can put means we can define date, year, month depending on our requirements, right? So that we need to configure and define the value, right? So this is the date values, how we can configure the date values, reading the dates and setting the dates dynamically. So this is example. But one important is when you are displaying date and time. Date is okay. According to your system date, it will be changing. But time, at the time it has captured, it will display only that. Actually, later I will tell you. So because if I want to print the time, then how do we print the time? Actually, to print the time, so current time I want to print. See, I am writing like this. Document dot write now dot to local time string to local time string. It will print the time, and you can see time is printed like this. But the seconds not changing. They will not change. Why? Because at the time you loaded the page, what time is there, it will print. I refresh the page again. At the time, what is there, it will display. That means it is not continuously looking like changing. But at the time of loading, what time is present, it will pick the time and it will display the time. I want the time to continuously change. Actually, for that, we have to use JavaScript timer functions. We need JavaScript timer events. We need to use JavaScript timer events. Timer events are very much used for dates and times and also scheduling tasks. Like we have option like set interval. We have set timeout. We have clear interval, and we have clear timeout. These are timer functions. Clear timeout. These are timer functions. So these timer events are very important for us, especially later to perform some animations and effects also based on time. We have to use them in order to handle the situation. For that, you need to understand set interval, set timeout, clear interval, clear timeout like options. For example, see here, means how do we do actually? Suppose we have a function. Called so get time. That is a function. Here we want a time. So we want a time to display. That means this is what we are doing in that. That means we are declaring the time and accessing the time. Now, when the function loads, means when the page loads, we will use an event called set timeout. Or we can use set interval actually. Set interval. So which function to call? We call the function get time. Okay, 1000 milliseconds. That means every second. This function will be called now. And what that function is doing, it is creating the date and printing the time. That means when page loads, function 1 will be called. This function 1 will call get time. Generally, if I simply call get time, it will print only time at the time of loading. Set interval means it will call this function at every 1000 milliseconds. That means now see what happens here. I refresh. So it has to print the time, and you can see the time is continuously printing because we are using document right now. Every second time is printing. Every second actually time is printing. But we want in such a way that it should replace and print. That means it should replace and print. Better we can put in some page so that it will print. Means every second it is printing the time. But actually it should change the time there itself. It should change the time there itself. That means actually we need to put a body, because you are using document right now. Document write means obviously it will print every time. So new screen every time it is coming actually. Then what we have to do is, so I will do one thing. We will put a body section. In the body body onload, we are calling function one. Function one is called when body loads. And here we will put a div aligned to center, aligned to center. And div have an ID. So is a timer, that is the ID. So now inside this timer, I need to display the time. Then here I will change the logic. What is it? Document dot get element by ID timer dot inner HTML is equal to now dot to local time string. Now see what happens is when I refresh here, so it has to print the time and the time is changing now. We need to print in a specific div or span, then it will be better. What are timer functions and how these timer functions are used? Especially when you are dealing with dates and times, you need to use them. Timer functions have a lot of work. They will perform the scheduled tasks. They are used to perform any task repeatedly. Until we stop, it will continue. We can make them stop. We can use them in animations and effects also. We have to learn how to perfectly use them. Set interval, set timeout, clear interval, clear timeout. Then we can design so many things effectively. So mostly while working with the date and time, you need these functions very much. How to use these timer functions and design them in our real-time examples. We will see one example. So that we will see tomorrow. So tomorrow we will discuss about timer events in JavaScript, which will help us to design some real world scenarios. Generally, how they are handled, automatically some tasks are handled, that we will see by using this timer events, right? Tomorrow we will continue with that, okay? Right.